Do you want a book that helps you build and customize monsters? Do you wish there were more variants of common monsters like goblins, as well as new special abilities for them? Do you want to experience the glory of Planescape with planner subclasses, feats, monsters, lineages, and much more? Well, if you've answered yes to any of those questions, we've got all that and much more in the latest episode of D&D New Releases. So let's get started. Hi, it's Splinterverse. Welcome to another episode of D&D New Releases, where we offer first impressions of new third-party products for Dungeons & Dragons. We cover a selection of titles from Dungeon Masters Guild and DriveThruRPG each week. The titles are presented in alphabetical order, and all of them are linked in the video description. Purchasing the books using those links helps the channel, but you can also support us by purchasing one of our best-selling books. Our newest release, Dragonlance Companion, offers 180 pages for players and DMs to bring the magical world of Krynn to life. And like many of our books, it's available in hardcover and digital format. Our Swarms of the Multiverse offers over 70 brand new creatures, including their associated swarms, instructions on how to make your own balanced swarms, and lots of bonus materials such as 4 new demiplanes. Our Feywild Companion offers 150 pages of Feywild fun for players and DMs alike. Also, our book, Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, contains over 50 pages of dragon-themed player options, including a subclass for each class and much more. We've got lineages suitable for any setting, as well as optional lineage rules in our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages. With our Potions Unlocked book, we have over 100 pages of material to take potions to the next level in your game. Please support the channel by purchasing our books using the links in the video description. First, we have the Feypool Beauty, a 5th level adventure, and it is by Kara Hildebrandt, Noah Stavish, Douglas Harvey, Morose, and Revelation Studios, $4.95 for 66 pages. And it says, surrounded by miles of hostile swampland, Feypool isn't a place too many adventurers seek out, but a group of travelers discover that this small duchy is under siege by a strange threat, Marietta Truelight. Otherworldly beautiful and abnormally charming, all but a handful of Feypoolers have fallen under her spell, becoming a fanatical hive mind willing to do anything for her. But Marietta is planning something sinister, the answer buried within Feypool's superstitions and bleak history. The Feypool Beauty features a number of horror elements, including body horror, suspense, intrigue, and some classic tropes similar to Body Snatchers. So it's an interesting blend here. You've got sort of horror and fae mixed together, so a little bit of whimsy, a little bit of horror. So I think that could be really interesting dichotomy that you have to deal with. It says, what secrets will you uncover? What atrocities of devotion will you witness? And it's got 10 new monster stat blocks, 4 new magic items, and 10 plus high resolution maps with variations for the DM and players. And you can see a little bit of the layout here. So let's look inside. So they're giving you some advice up front on how to play the adventure. Then you're getting into some of the chapters. So it looks like it's broken out into 3 separate chapters for the adventure, as well as some side quests, which is really nice. It's always nice to have some side quest options. And then you've got an event called the Feypool Revoke. And then it looks like it finishes up in a chapter 4. And then you have some appendices with bestiary spells, items, and more background. So that's really cool. Layout's really easy to read. I like that the font size is pretty big. A lot of times it's too small. You've got an adventure flow here, so you can use that. There's even advice on how to set it into Forgotten Realms or Eberron or Greyhawk, etc. And then it gives you some real spoilery information on this Marietta, who is the main big bad, it sounds like. So let's go back up and read some of the non-spoilery stuff, hopefully. It says, surrounded by acres of hostile swampland and built upon Sylvan architectural principles, the Duchy of Feypool is an oasis of hospitality. Its land gifted to the 𝙭royal family a century prior. It knows little contact with the outside world aside from well-armed caravans carrying lily-pad-derived exports and those curious about the 𝙭's distant Fey heritage. Then one day, a royal guard, heavily wounded and severely dehydrated, stumbled out of the swamp, frantically claiming that a monster had slipped into Feypool's well-protected borders. So, facing the fetid, slithering horrors of the marshes, you finally make it to Feypool, but you discover that the city looks fine, jarringly so, and at the center of the people's overwhelming bliss is Marietta Truelight, an impossibly beautiful woman the Feypoolers are fanatically obsessed with. So my guess is Marietta was the quote-unquote monster that snuck into this sort of isolated community called Feypool and has transformed it. And now they're all sort of under her thrall, and you're going to have to deal with that. It says, Marietta Truelight, this charismatic woman, appeared practically overnight, quickly capturing the collective heart of Feypool. Though she appears perfectly kind, something dark lingers beneath. Then you've got some other characters. There's a ruler named Brannick, a conniving hag named Abatha. She once controlled the Feypool area alongside her two coven mates. She wants nothing more than to rebuild her broken coven, in addition to reclaiming a foster daughter that she stole from Feypool decades before. So I like that. So you've got kind of two baddies with conflicting desires. A lot of times there's only one big bad, so having one that's maybe on the outs is an interesting idea. Then they've got some story hooks for you to how to get your characters into the middle of the story. It says, naturally you can devise a story hook to better suit your current campaign. Here's a few suggestions. The characters had gotten word that a monster has killed Duke Brannick. The Fey heritage of Feypool, the 𝙭family, has sparked an academic interest in your party. Your party is seeking out someone in Feypool. Maybe there's an NPC that works there, or, Marietta has influenced everyone there, right? So anybody who's there would bring you right into this adventure, because you would say, hey, this person isn't acting the way we expect them to. Maybe it's an old friend. Maybe it's even a family member. You could have a family member of the party in Feypool, and so they're going there to visit family or to find family or get something from family, and they step right into this sort of hive mind that Marietta's got going on. Another option is, while being sent on another quest in the swamp, your party just happens upon Feypool. That's, you can literally put this place, since it's sort of self-contained duchy, you can put this in their tracks, so that if they're heading across an area, they're going to land there just naturally through travel. Being lost in the swamp for several days, only happening upon Feypool. Yeah, so you could have a situation where they get lost. I mean, especially if there's hags out there, I mean, that could be easily explained. So yeah, this looks really fun. I mean, you get to read more about Marietta. I don't want to read too much and spoil for players that might be watching, but you've got this nice looking map here. It gives me a very Fey vibe. And you can see they've got really clearly broken out flavor text for you, and again, the text is really easy to read with the size that they're using, so I love that, and I hope you'll check it out if you're looking for an adventure. I mean, it's only $4.95. You get 66 pages, which is a good amount of pages for that price, and it's for level 5, so that's a good play area. So look for it. It's under Feypool Beauty in the links below, and give it a click. Next, we have Flea Mortals. The MCDM Monster Book from MCDM Productions is $39.99 for the PDF, and it doesn't say here how many pages it is, but it's got to be massive because it contains 339 stat blocks, as well as new rules for action-oriented creatures, minions, companions, retainers, as well as encounter building and more. So it says, if a monster is big enough and bad enough to challenge an entire party on their own, or if it just makes sense for the Queen of the Goblins to be better than the normal goblin boss, they're going to make a unique action-oriented version of that monster, which makes sense. You know, why would you, if you're going to go through each of these monsters, they all be the same, not have any special abilities? It says this is something they originally developed for the Chain of Acheron. The Black Iron Pack was the first test of this design, so they've play tested it through a lot of the things that MCDM gets up to, which is a lot. You should check out all their goodness. They've got a lot of great books. I own a lot of their hardcovers. And some fun stuff that they produced over the years. It says it was a success, and they've learned a lot since. So they've play tested this a lot. They've tweaked it, and it says action-oriented monsters get special villain actions that allow them to act when it's not their turn, and they rely on spells much less. So that's cool, right? It gets kind of boring when the monsters are using the same spells as the players all the time. So having these villain actions that they're doing on other turns makes it feel more like a unique encounter. And it says old monsters unboringed. I love that. We love all the classic monsters: goblins, kobolds, orcs, giants, dragons. We just wish they were more fun to use. So it says there's only one goblin in the core rules. So if you decide your first level party is going to explore a tomb with some goblins in them, you don't have a lot of options except for copy paste, basically. So this book gives you a lot of options for the classic monsters. You get goblin assassins, goblin snipers, goblin spine cleavers, etc. So it's not just goblin, right? And it says not just a bag of hit points. A lot, but not all of the monsters in the core rules amount to just a bag of hit points. But that's not much fun. It's fun for the players if the monsters can do cool things, right? My favorite thing with monsters is like when you don't know what they're doing and you kind of have to figure it out. So when they have a special action that you haven't seen before, it can really shake things up and make it more interesting. Especially, you know, if you have a big party and you're waiting, you know, a while to get back to your turn, but you're trying to strategize to figure out what this monster is even doing, that's something that you can keep yourself active with. Yeah, you can watch what the other players are doing, and you should pay attention to that. But sometimes, certain tables, it gets a little long, if you know what I'm saying. So if you have these ones where you're trying to figure out the mystery, I think that can make you feel like at least you have something to keep you occupied while you're waiting to take your next attempt, only to find out it's immune to what you just tried. But still, right? Again, engaging the mind. And it says the core rules rely on giving monsters spells to make them interesting, but it mostly makes them more complex. Our monsters sometimes use spells, but it's a lot easier on the GM to give them cool abilities they can use in combat. So, very cool. And it says new monsters for classic environments, new rules for minions. Minions are a great way to let your characters feel heroic by fighting a sea of bad guys. Then there's companions. Players love pets, so we created new rules for players to have a cool companion. We give monsters that make sense as a pet a unique companion stat block. And then there's retainers, which is a callback to the Strongholds and Followers book that I have. They're a great way to reward player for good role-playing. And so now you get sort of this follower, and that's really fun. So really interesting stuff. I love when people are trying to innovate in the D&D space, because you can just swipe a stat block, change the name, change a couple little numbers, and call it a day. But when you're trying to innovate and give these new abilities and shake things up, I think that's the best third-party content, in my opinion. So it talks about the new rules, what action-oriented creatures are. Then you get into some of the different variants and optional rules they have. And then all these creatures. So, they mentioned, hey, we're going to give you variations on goblins, right? So presumably, looking at these headings, you're going to get variations on owlbears, dragons, elementals, giants, kobolds, lizard folk, manticores, and on and on and on. I mean, it goes from angulados all the way down to wyverns. So that's quite a bit of different creatures. As I said, 339 stat blocks, right? Then you get environments like a cave, enchanted forest, ruined keep, sewer, all that stuff. Villain parties. portraying villains, optimized party levels. So that's another fun stuff that you could explore. There's psionic powers. I mean, this is all, like I said, innovation, new stuff, which it seems to be typical of MCDM. They don't take the easy route with their books. They're not just giving you, hey, here's some new spells, just variants of the traditional spells. They try to really come up with new ways to experience 5th edition, which is awesome. I mean, 5th edition's been around for a while, so it's nice to have some freshness. All right, so here's some of the new rules. They've got the creature rules here, but I want to read this new condition. It says, dazed. A dazed creature can only do one of the following things on their turn. They can move, use an action, or use a bonus action. If a creature becomes dazed during their turn ends. The Cure Ailment power, Lesser Restoration spell, and Greater Restoration spell remove the dazed condition. And then at the GM's discretion, of course, other things might remove it. When a dazed creature is affected by a spell or effect that gives them an extra action on their turn, they can still take this extra action in addition to the movement action or bonus action that they do. Yeah, I like that. That's much better than saying they can only do one of the following things, to have a condition that represents that. And then it talks about flanking as an option. So mundane and supernatural. I mean, they're really laying everything out. Save ends effects. Some creatures have a trait or action that on a failed saving throw imposes a debilitating effect for an extended duration. But sometimes a lucky foe can retry their saving throw and potentially end the effect early. In such situations, the stat block specifies save ends at start of turn or save ends at end of turn. When you see this phrase, it means any creature affected by a save ends effect like this can repeat the saving throw on the end of each of their turns. That's another way to because we see that text, right? But this is another way to sort of encapsulate that, which I appreciate. So they're even trying some different things in the language, which is nice. So I love it. I mean, they're really cleanly laying all this out. I mean, they're talking about the different roles. So you have something called an ambusher. Ambushers are creatures who hide well, not just before an encounter, but during it. They utilize surprise and stealth to gain the upper hand. It kind of reminds me a little bit of 4th edition. I never played that, but I've heard some things about it, so that's cool. So if you like having those roles, I've heard that's like the best thing about 4th edition, so it's cool to see something similar here. You got a controller. Controllers debuff, move, and obstruct their enemies. You got minions, are weak creatures who find strength in numbers, and there's a whole section on that. I mean, if you're a DM, this is a must. I mean, you're gonna get something out of this. It appears to have quite a bit of stuff. I mean, if we look at the table of contents, I mean, it's 400 pages, because the last number thing in the table of contents, it's 391. So that is a big selling point for this. And I recommend grabbing this. I mean, you're gonna get something out of these 400 pages that you can use to make things different with your monsters. I mean, your players, they need that, especially if you've been playing with the same group for years, or even if you just have veteran players that have been playing D&D for years. They really need their monsters to turn it up a notch occasionally. So look for it under the links, and don't run from it, because that's for your players to do with Flee Mortals. Give it a click. Next, we have a Gourmand's Guide to Gastromancy, a delicious book of adventures, items, maps, monsters, player options, recipes, and spells. It's from Daniel Kahn, Dana Floberg, Ashton Duncan, Charles Parkins, and a whole host of other talented creators. So I hope you check them all out. It's $9.95 for 80 pages of food-related fun. It's got 3 adventures with VTT-ready color map files. Then you get 3 new playable ancestries, 3 new backgrounds, 24 magic items, 23 monsters, 20 spells, 3 subclasses, and 4 recipes that you can actually make and bring to your gaming table, which is really, really cool. Food can be fun in so many ways, and I love products that incorporate real world stuff, because then you can really simulate it at the table by having, hey, there's this monster that is, maybe it's related to this food in some way, and so we're gonna have that as a meal while we play the game, right? And so it engages the senses in a different way. And so this is an awesome product for that. And it's from some creators that have done some great stuff. I mean, Save or Suck, Stolen Hearts, Monster Weaknesses, tons of connected materials for adventures that are published by Wizards of the Coast. So you're going to recognize some of these awesome creators as you thumb through this if you get it. So let's look inside. So it talks about gastromancy, which would be, magic related to the stomach and food, right? It goes through the adventures like the carrot incident, the biggest brunch, and the great sugar strike. That sounds fun. A picketer's pickle. So there's a lot of playful language in here, and each of them has magic items and creators or creatures connected to it. Then you get those ancestries like the Fey-touched morsel, Gourmand, and gummy folk. That could be really fun to play as a sort of a gummy bear type creature. And then you got these backgrounds: the barkeeper, the forager, the patisserie chef, a bunch of magic items, monsters, spells. So you're going to get some food-themed spells, which is really fun. Subclasses like the College of Culinary Arts, Feast Domain, and of course the Gastromancer. And then you get the real recipes here, and it talks about whether they're vegetarian or vegan. I'm not sure which the V stands for here, but one of those. And then GF is gluten-free. So you've got options, 4 different recipes, and it looks like some variations for the trail mix ones. Yeah, that's a perfect snack food. I mean, especially with long sessions, right? People get hungry. And, if you're in the middle of some neighborhood somewhere, it may be a bit to get food. So having food on hand for them, especially if it connects to the game, can be really fun. So it talks about the inspiration. It says, it's inspired first and foremost by a love for food. The love of cooking and feasting together cuts across all our cultures and places. We feel it in restaurants with white cloth tables and kitchens with weathered old stools. Food carries the weight of tradition, the nostalgia of memories, and the strength of human beings caring for one another. This book is an ode to the sitter, the potluck, the brunch, to secret recipes and bodega sandwiches. I think I pronounced that wrong. I think it's Seder, the SEDER. I'm not sure. And then it talks about how to use the book, setting. It says it's designed to drop right into the classic fantasy world, including places like the Forgotten Realms. But if talking cupcakes or feral carrot blights feel out of place in your setting, you can always put them in the Feywild, which makes sense, right? So here we get to see some of the adventures. You get to see 20 pages, so I'm just going to do a quick scroll. But look at the fun artwork in here. Let me zoom out so you can really get a better idea. I mean, they've got fun artwork that you can show to the players with magic. I mean, look at this little cloud chicken. That's fun. And these maps are gorgeous. So gorgeous. Very good. I love those maps. That looks so cute. The Crim, or Grease Elemental. That's what it is. I've got it reduced in size, so I couldn't see what it said, but it looks like it's a Grease Elemental. So yeah, love that. And Saga McKenzie is doing the maps, and they look, as usual, stunning. Saga always does really great work. And we've worked with Saga before on some projects, and always love to see the work of Saga. I mean, look at this. These borders with the carrots. It's so well done. And you can see the adventures have a lot of flavor text. It looks like each location has a flavor text box, which is helpful to give you some options. But let's take a deeper dive into this first one, the carrot incident. So you get a background, a summary, some adventure hooks. So we'll just read one of the adventure hooks. It says, crop troubles. Wild creatures have been slaying local livestock during the night, but nobody can identify the cause. The party is called on to investigate the problem and are offered a reward of 50 GP each. The scene of the latest kill shows disturbed earth trailing back to an unsuspecting house at the edge of town. When the party arrives, Daxton, the homeowner, is under attack. So my guess is the crops are to blame, but that's TBD here. It says, approaching the house. At the moment the party arrives at Daxton's house, he discovers horrible vegetable monsters in his home and runs outside for help. So here's the flavor text. A quaint one-story house sits on the edge of town with well-trimmed bushes and a little garden on the side. Suddenly, a furry man with the features of a mouse, dressed in a cook's apron, runs from the home screaming for help. As he notices you, he yells, "My daughter is trapped inside. The little devils are everywhere. Please help." So Daxton is a male middle-aged gourmand, a type of mouse folk ancestry, and not a fighter. He quickly answers any questions the party has, explaining that the living vegetables with claws and teeth are running about his house. He saw his daughter lock herself in the washroom for safety, but the creatures are loose and dangerous. So that's a fun start. I mean, where else are you going to find sort of living vegetables doing things, and a mouse folk NPC as well? So cool. And then this is the house that we talked about, and she's locked herself in a washroom, so presumably in the middle there of that left side. And then there's a compost abomination and some magic items that come up in there. So I don't want to spoil the adventure, but it looks like you're going to deal with a compost heap that comes to life. But we've got some magic items. It says A Gourmand's Guide to Gastromancy, which is the name of this book, right? It's a wondrous item, uncommon, requires attunement by a spellcaster. This delightful little cookbook features a wide array of recipes. The book contains 3 charges and regains 1d3 expended charges daily at dawn. While you are holding the book, you can use it as a spellcasting focus for your spells, and can use an action to expend 1 charge to cast one of the following spells from it, using your spell save DC and spell attack bonus. So you can broil, which is in this book, dull, sharpen, gastrointestinal distress, salivate, and satiation. And it also can work as a spell book. So yeah, already you can tie that right into the concept of a food-based adventure, because you're going to have a cookbook here, right? There's creatures like Veggie Blight here, Gourmand, Compost Abomination. The Biggest Brunch is another one of the adventures with the Cloud Chicken. So there's a kitchen items table. So obviously you can find a fork there, but it says can be used as a silver trident. And then the last one, toothpick, a magic toothpick left behind by a prior diner at the Cloud B&B. This is a giant's cleansing toothpick. So fun stuff. I really think there is just so much you can do with this book. So here's the Cloud B&B complications table. One of your steps snags a tear in a bag of flour that poofs into the air. Make a DC 10 con saving throw. On a failure, you are blinded until the end of your next turn. While blinded, you may continue the chase, but must roll twice on the in complications table the next time you would roll. So lots you can have happen here. You can use these tables to make some random occurrences happen, it looks like. And that we're just scratching the surface. We haven't even looked at the player options. These adventures start off the book, and you're getting so much fun artwork for all these new creatures, and you're getting all these beautiful maps by Saga. And it is, I mean, this is packed full of stuff. You get adventures, ancestries, backgrounds, items, monsters, spells, subclasses. I mean, I'm going to add it to my wish list, because this is packed. I mean, you're going to find something for the $9.95 price point and the 80 pages that you can use. And you can use it with so many other things. You can use it with Feywild books for whimsical stuff. You can use it if you watched, we had a previous video on a campaign setting called Silver Plate, where there was also anthropomorphic food. So you could combine it with that. There's so many ways to use this, or even just have an area of an adventure where you're encountering maybe a magical chef, or maybe there's a shop in a town that is a home base for your characters, where they focus on arcane pastries, right? And so there's something magical about it, and there's maybe a monster in the kitchen that is one of the sort of missions that your party takes on as they ingratiate themselves with their new sort of base of operations in that town. So lots and lots of ways to use a book like this. It's lots and lots of fun. And don't forget, you can also make real food with recipes in here. So I hope you get your tummy ready, and look for it in the video description links under A Gourmand's Guide to Gastromancy and give it a click. Next, we have the Lazy DM's Forge of Foes, which gives you tools and guides to build, customize, and run fantastic monsters in 5th edition. And it's by Sly Flourish, and it was a Kickstarter that I backed, so I already have a copy of this from backing that Kickstarter. It's $14.99, 130 pages, and it's just really focused on letting you create your own monsters, which is so cool. It says, like the material found in the Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, the Lazy DM's Workbook, and the Lazy DM's Companion, because they've been doing these titles for a while at Sly Flourish, which is good. Forge of Foes gives you the tools and guidance to help you easily run awesome monsters in your games. So it says, we all love monsters. We love them because they exist outside of our world and yet feel real to us. We love how strange they can be. We love the sense of danger that arises when we talk about them. We love how they live in our imaginations. And when monsters come to life in our imaginations, we love to face and defeat them. We battle dragons and demons and undead and conquer them, and tales we'll remember our whole lives. Within the Forge of Foes, we'll build these monsters. Here in the Forge, we'll modify creatures, giving them new attacks and strange new abilities. We'll harden their scales and sharpen their claws. We'll create entirely new creatures from our endless collective imagination, then watch them crawl into the stories of high adventure we share with our friends. So, you've got a bunch of industry veterans involved in this, who've worked on so many great titles. I mean, we could spend the rest of the video talking about how cool the creators, their history is on this book. And you can see here, we've got monster toolkits, building a quick monster, building legendary monsters, spellcasting monsters, running boss monsters, creating lair actions, dice rolling options, monster powers, monster rolls, monster type templates. I mean, any scenario you can imagine that you want to use to trigger the creation of a creature, or even tweak one that maybe you've been struggling with, or that you keep shelving or putting in a folder and you're like, I'll get to that someday, I can't make it quite work. This book could shake that loose and really get it tuned to where you can run it. You've got lazy tricks for running monsters, bosses and minions, evolving monsters, the layers of reskinning them. I mean, it is just, I could spend all day reading how many different things are in here, like looking at published encounters, building challenging high-level encounters, exit strategies, I mean, even philosophy, balancing mechanics and story. I mean, this is for somebody who really wants to take their monsters to the next level. You're going to have everything at your fingertips, and when you start looking at the book, and this is the publisher preview, that's why it looks a little different than normally when I show the previews, but you can get to it from the link at the top here under the cover, publisher preview. When you start looking through it, you can see how well organized it is and how many different sections there are. And this is something I see a lot with the Sly Flourish books, is a really good layout of the book, really clean and crisp and easy to find your way around, which I appreciate and I like to call out for you. So when you're making your purchasing decisions, because most of us can't buy every book that comes out every week, right? So we have to be choosy. And so I like to point out things like that. So it helps you make your decisions. But it says building a quick monster, and it gives you through that step one, determine your CR. And then, or alternatively, what CR do you need it to be for whatever you're trying to do? Write down the baseline statistics, determine proficient abilities, determine remaining abilities. So this is just, again, the quick approach. So it's just helping you get there. And then they've got this table. Now, one of the challenges we have with the originally published Wizards of the Coast materials is that if you were to reverse engineer the monsters that they published in the monster manual with the table that they give you that's similar to this, it does not compute. They don't align. And that's always frustrated people, because they're like, it's really hard to build your own monster when you can't reverse engineer and kind of learn that way, right? I know that Wizards is aware of some of this and might be trying to fix it with further iterations, but it's so great when third parties do a table like this, because it gives you another option when you're trying to figure out, hey, what hit points should a CR0 have or whatever, right? And what I also am noticing is they have this equivalent character level column, which again is huge. So customize your attacks, further modify statistics. You can add quick types and features. I mean, so cool. It says, as divine beings of outer planes, celestials have high ability scores. Charisma is often especially high to represent a celestial's leadership qualities. So they're taking a deep dive into what distinguishes a creature type from another creature type, and they're helping you understand, because it's there if you reverse engineer stuff. But if you don't, and it's not spelled out by wizards, how would you know that charisma is often especially high for a celestial? You might, maybe you're a super experienced DM and you just know that, but not everybody knows that. Some people are new DMs, or they just aren't paying attention to that. So it says they often have resistance to radiant damage. They may also have resistance to damage from non-magical attacks and immunity to the charmed, exhausted, and frightened condition. I mean, they're really laying it out for you. And it says there's some powers below here that you can add to make them feel very celestial, like winged. This creature has a flying speed equal to their best other speed and can hover. Whoops, whoa, I zoomed in way too far by hitting a key on my keyboard, but that's okay. Here we are, a mirror judgment reaction. When this creature is the sole target of an attack or spell, they can choose another valid target to also be targeted by the attack or spell. So that feels very celestial. You know, they're sort of dealing out judgment. We think of celestials as judging, right? Are you good? Are you evil? And should you be punished for your evil deeds? All that stuff, right? So a reaction like mirror judgment is going to lean in to the notions that we have about celestials. And this is just one little section. This book is packed. It is packed with helpful stuff like this. If you feel like you want to polish what you're doing, or you're new to it and you really want to get a better, deeper understanding of what is going on, this is going to walk you through every creature type and give you ways, because you can pluck all of these things out of here. You can take the damage resistances, put them right on your new creature, your immunities, condition immunities, senses, special traits, reactions, all that stuff, and that can be the basis of your creature, so that okay, it's already a celestial, it's already got some of these, this backbone that I put in here. And now I'm going to layer in some other things I'm going to make its charisma high, like it advises. And that way it feels like it belongs, right? Now you could also go against that and say, this is a corrupted celestial, so it doesn't have this, it has this instead, or something, right? So when you know the rules, you can have fun deviating from them, right? So a lot of value to this. And then here's a great section, reskinning monsters. People do this all the time. Third-party publishers do it. It's okay to do. It's not as creative as creating from scratch, but if you're going to do it, you want to at least understand what you're doing and do it right, so that things remain balanced. So this is really helping you figure out what are the common ones that get reskinned, and it gives them sort of more of a role. So a bandit gets reskinned into a striker, or a goblin gets reskinned into a striker, or a black bear into a brute, or whatever, right? So you can kind of say, forget about the black bear, think of it more of just a character that exhibits this sort of quality of being brutish. And then modifying the features, adding features. I mean, there's so many things in here to help you. You can even mash up multiple monsters, choosing your monsters based on the story. I mean, it's like a bunch of articles in a way, because these aren't, this one here we looked at, right? Choosing monsters based on the story. It's 2 pages. It's not this huge 10-page chapter. It's just like 2 pages. You could decide, I'm going to read one of these a day and just kind of think about it and pick and choose what I'm going to use, or just let it reach its way into my subconscious, so that as I'm creating in the future, it's kind of there as something to draw upon. Building the story to fit the monster, building engaging encounters. I mean, we could spend the whole video on this, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let you come read this on your own. Building spellcasting monsters is another one. But there's so much. I wish I'd had more time to look at my copy. I've been busy working on our next project, so haven't had too much time, but I knew when I saw this Life Flourish was doing a Kickstarter, it was going to be that same quality where you get these really digestible and well thought out, helpful tips and guides to do things. And I love looking at people's thoughts on monster design, because sometimes I make monsters. We've done several books with monsters that I've made, and so I really appreciate reading about the theory behind it, so that not only the ones that I make for people that I know to use, but the ones that I publish can be well thought out and fun for people, rather than a nuisance because they're not up to snuff, right? So maybe you have similar aspirations, so you could use this to publish your monsters as well. Whatever the reason, there's a million reasons to own this. It's only $14.99 for 130 pages by talented creators, and it's so digestible. So I think this is a must purchase. Look for it in the video description links. It's under Lazy DMs, Forge of Foes, and give it a click. Next, we have Monsters and Myths by Elwyn Frost. It's $20 for 118 pages, and it's a compendium of 5th edition fantasy creatures. And from what I understand, Elwyn is the author, the writer, and the artist, with some really cool stylistic art here. I believe this was a Kickstarter, and it says, "Welcome to a small taste of Monsters and Myth. This compendium showcases over 100 unique full-color creatures, each designed meticulously for 5e, spanning challenges 0 to 30, which is also awesome. Love that. You need a good range. And you're also getting 8 new races, 12 magic items, and more. And it looks so beautiful. I love the white design of it, because it just looks so... it just pops off the page for me, that it's got this white cover and white interior pages. A lot of people do that sort of parchment background, and it just, I don't know. Sometimes it's nice to have it just be very simple and clean. So let's look inside. Tons of monsters. Look at this. We're going from the Abyssal Courtier all the way down to the Zytort. So A to Z, literally, of monsters. Then you get races like the Abyssal Courtier all the way down to the Zinthriel. Magic items from Amulet of Nightbat down to Ring of the Vortex. And there's a ton of fun ones like Cloak of Cosmic Wonders and Boots of the Harvest Moon in those names there. So that's nice. I mean, you don't often get things like races and magic items in a monster book, so I like to see that. But here we have the Abyssal Courtier. I'm going to zoom out so I can just scroll and just kind of show you how nice and clean this looks. I mean, this artwork is just beyond good. I mean, this is the 𝘽𝙤𝙤𝙠𝙨 here, and it just looks so beautiful. I mean, I can imagine these being part of an anime or a cartoon on Netflix or something. They're just so stunning. So let's find out about this Abyssal Courtier, because remember, this Abyssal Courtier is not only a monster that you can face that's a CR7, but it, from what we can tell from the table of contents, it's also a race that you can play. So I love that so much. I think Wizards has done that a little bit, but it's not something you see a lot. So always cool. So an amalgamation of elegance and terror, the Abyssal Courtier has the upper body of a graceful human with elongated pointed ears and long slender arms ending in razor-sharp claws. Their lower half, however, is a stark contrast, formed by writhing tentacles reminiscent of a deep-sea cephalopod. A lustrous cascade of long hair frames their face, which bears an expression of noble indifference, clad in fine aristocratic attire that somehow never seems to get wet. Their entire form is cloaked in a hue of blue. It says the Abyssal Courtier is a creature of great intelligence and pride. They often play a role as diplomats or emissaries in underwater societies, negotiating deals with creatures of the deep. With their persuasive nature, they can be charming but are always looking for an upper hand. So that's cool to understand kind of how they approach life. And then it talks about their habitat. These creatures reside in the deep, forgotten cities of the ocean floor and grand palaces where pressure and darkness rule. Their homes are as majestic as they are eerie. And then a peculiarity is their diet consists mainly of deep-sea fish, but they are known to dine on any unfortunate land dwellers that sink into their domain. So they might eat you. They are connoisseurs of ancient underwater artifacts, collecting and cherishing them. So yeah, you can really see how you could role play them as a DM with the little sections they're giving here. I like that they've broken it. Instead of just giving you sort of those subheads, they're giving you a behavior section, a habitat section, and a peculiarity section, and that's really useful. You can jump to that. So looking at one of the abilities here, it says, Mystic Elegance. Whenever the Abyssal Courtier speaks or uses any form of communication, those who hear its words must make a wisdom saving throw or be charmed by the Abyssal Courtier. And then while charmed, the creature is inclined to agree with the Courtier's suggestions. And then actions, Psychic Scream. The Abyssal Courtier emits a psychic wave in a 30-foot radius. All creatures within the area must make a wisdom saving throw or take psychic damage and be stunned. So that makes sense. I mean, if they seem to be very charismatic, these Abyssal Courtiers. And that's just the first creature. There's so many in here. There's 100 of them. And then you've got the 𝘿𝙤𝙤𝙠𝙨, which is a small, charming, worm-like creature with this cute appearance here. And it's a CR3. So again, you're getting that range of CR 0 to 30. So you can use it for any tier of play with that range. You're getting races, magic items, and so much more. So I really hope you take a look and put these creatures into your game. Bring some new fun creatures to your table. It's called Monsters and Myths. Look for it in the video description, links below, and give it a click. Next, we have Orelyn's Opus of Outstanding Objects from Catalyst RPG. And it says it's got unique magic items for fantasy world building. And it is a former Kickstarter project that I backed as well. And I've always enjoyed Catalyst's work. We've covered it many times on the channel. And I saw this Kickstarter and it looked so fun. I backed it. And I haven't had a chance, like most of the Kickstarters I backed, to even look at the books. But I love to support creators. And I really know that Catalyst always does good work. And this one sounded really fun. So we're going to look at it together here. But it's $12.95. That's it for the 104 pages. That's a really good price. And you can get a hardcover premium color for $29.95 or a soft cover for $16.95. Or with a little bit more, you can get the PDF thrown in. So you want to check out those options if you come here to purchase it. But you're getting 100 fully illustrated unique magic items, from common trinkets to artifacts of mythical power. So think about that. A lot of times you get magic items, but they're not all illustrated. So that right there is a selling point, right? Experience high forging, an intuitive system to customize items with a range of balanced abilities, myths, legends, and lore for each item, evolving items, unique item variants, optional rules, tables, and other extras to enhance world building. Uncover forgotten truths with adventure hooks by Orelyn, the inquisitive dark elf archaeologist. So you get that sort of lore and narrator component to this. It says Orelyn and the Skylight Dragonlings, Hemera and Nyktos, are on a quest to discover magic treasure, from everyday utensils to ancient artifacts of world-shattering power. This book provides a wealth of unique magic items with clever variants, optional rules, tables, maps, lore, and more. It says you can insert gemstones to magic items and add customizable abilities. With high forging, you can raise your own magical spiders into trusty companions with adoptable spider eggs. You can own and operate the spider back in an enchanted tavern that travels on the back of a gigantic spider. You can collect fragments of elemental magic to restore the shattered staff of elemental mastery, a unique 5-in-1 artifact. I mean, how creative are all of those? Those are not run-of-the-mill magic items. Each one of those is very innovative. Again, we talked about that earlier in the video. When you're shopping and you can't buy every single book, you should look for innovation, because that is really going to get you a lot of mileage at your table, because you're going to be bringing something fresh that people have not experienced, or that makes them think about the game in a different way, right? So love to see that. It says, turn the Library of the Blue Candles, a legendary repository of arcane knowledge hidden between dimensions into your very own planner domain. Yeah, I was looking at that when I was flipping through my copy of it, and it is so cool. There's all these maps of each level, and it would be so fun to have your own private little arcane library that you can pop into as like your own little demi-plane, right? There's evolving artifacts, sentient items, and discover completely unique item concepts with balance mechanics such as the Spell Eater spellbook, the Vessel of Entropy, Flying Disc, magical robes, all this stuff. And you can see, here we go. Here's one of the maps of the library, the blue candles. So cool. You see how everything is illustrated with this fun style of art from Catalyst. So looking inside, you've got the Lionhide cloak, the Lotus of Oblivion right off the bat. I mean, whatever you look for is going to be illustrated, so you can enjoy it. Here's the Masterful Makeup Kit. I mean, kits so rarely get illustrated, so you can actually say, okay, this is the brush for this is the bottle for that, whatever, because if you get a copy of the picture, you can write your own notes on it and say this is what this is, etc. Medusa's head, the moon whip, that looks so cool. I like the way it's sort of displayed here with those crescent moon style things on it. So let's pick one of these to look at. This Lionhide cloak is really cool. Lotus of Oblivion too. Lotus of Oblivion's looks like this sort of weird looking vegetable. So let's read about that. It's legendary. It says, myth has it that a magic fruit exists that can cure any disease and heal any wound, but whose unimaginable taste can make anyone who eats it forget who they are. Ooh, I love that. So you can get anything fixed, but it's going to cost you. You're going to completely forget. You're going to have amnesia. Many have sought out the Lotus of Oblivion only to lose themselves in its otherworldly sweetness. Aspiring heroes who cannot resist the magic of the lotus soon abandon everything to spend their lives under a lotus tree and indulge in pleasure. You can spend 1 minute to eat a Lotus of Oblivion. Doing so grants you several benefits. You are cured of all diseases, poison, and any condition that lowers your hit point maximum. You also regain 1 hit point at the start of each of your turns. And your severed body members, if any, are restored after 2 minutes. So you can even get like a missing arm back. If you have the severed part and hold it to the stump, the magic of the lotus instantaneously causes the limb to knit to the stump. So even faster. Additionally, you gain inspiration to become immune to disease, poison, and being frightened. These benefits last for 24 hours. Wow. Each time you eat a Lotus of Oblivion, there is a 10% cumulative chance that you will become cursed and magically addicted to its sweetness. While cursed, you forget your ideals and bonds, and you must consume at least 1 Lotus every 24 hours. I have disadvantage on all attack rolls, ability checks, and saving throws. A greater restoration, remove curse, or similar effects. It ends the curse on you, but does not reset the chance to become addicted again. Okay. So I'm not sure how you get your memories back or of who you are. Maybe it's not full amnesia. Maybe it's just that you forget, you kind of forget what else there is in life. You just become consumed by this Lotus of Oblivion, right? So I could see so many uses for this. I mean, maybe you have just this really difficult to cure magical disease. Maybe somebody else does, like a king or something, and so you're sent to get this, and maybe you need to get several, because if you only bring one back and something happens to that one, you got to start all over. And then who's going to taste it, who's not going to taste it? Does everybody taste it and they've all forgotten themselves? So maybe there's one person who has to bring everybody back to reality. I mean, there's so many things you could do. You could even just put it on a plate and say, oh, you hungry? Here you go. And then they don't even know that they're eating this. So lots of story potential in this item. I love to see that. Some magic items don't have a ton of story potential. It's just like +1 to attacks and this, and then you have to basically do everything. But with a book like this, you can really just weave in what you want, take out what you don't, etc., and have a good time. So let's look for another fun one to read here. I really do like this moon whip, so let's talk about that. It says it's a rare whip, requires attunement, created by a relentless hunter of evil lycanthropes, polymorphous criminals, and other shape changers. This weapon produces a luminous whip made of pure moonlight. that can reveal the true form of a creature that stalks the night. When inactive, this item appears to be a whip handle. While holding it, you can use a bonus action to cause a silvery whip of pale light to spring into existence, or make the whip disappear. Made of moonlight, the moon whip has the light property. You gain a +2 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with this weapon, which deals radiant damage instead of slashing damage. When you hit a shape changer with it, that target takes an extra radiant damage and instantly reverts to its original form. When active, the moon whip sheds moonlight, creating a bright light in 10-foot radius and dim light. So really cool. You're getting all this stuff connected to the moon, lycanthropes. I could see so many options for this, like in Ravenloft or just anywhere that you have, shape changers. I mean, fun. We've only read 2. And how many things come to mind? I mean, shape changers and interacting, and maybe they're trying to get rid of this, and just something made of pure moonlight is also very unique. And maybe there's a reason you need to shed light on the world, and because the place is so dark, and it's at night or something, moonlight is the only way to go. I mean, I'm getting so many ideas, and we've only read 2. So imagine what's going to happen to you when you get to read all 100 of these at such a great price, $12.95. That's a great price for 104 pages of goodness. And I really love it. I hope you look for it. It's in the video description links under Orelyn's Opus of Outstanding Objects. Give it a click. Next, we have the Planescape Archive. Explore the multiverse with new subclasses, magic items, monsters, and an introductory planary adventure. So, the Planescape for 5th edition box set came out this week. And so now we're seeing others create content to support that on Dungeon Masters Guild. And this one happens to be from a familiar name, Matt Kimberlin, who is an editor on every single Splinterverse media book. So if you've enjoyed those books, Matt's been on every page, and Matt also writes some of the content for those books. So again, if you like our books, you're going to love what Matt's been up to here, alongside Andy Pino and Basil Wright as well, involved in this project. It's already a best copper seller. Just came out a few days ago. It's $14.99 for the PDF. You can get the hardcover standard color book for $29.99, or both of them together for that price, which is a really, really screaming deal. It's 123 pages, and it says, scribes have been hard at work toiling with the assistance of memers to create this supplement with information necessary to survive planar travel. Ownership of this tome does not guarantee surviving planar travel, but it does substantially increase one's chances. So, Planescape is vast, right? It has a history. It goes back, and people love it because the planes are fun. They're so different. Every one of them is unique and has so much to them. So Wizards of the Coast releasing a single box set could not possibly cover every single plane in super great detail and give you every single planar option. And they, from what I understand, I haven't read it yet, they focused heavily on Sigil, which is a key critical part of Planescape of years ago, and so people want that, right? But they just couldn't cover everything. So when you see a book like this coming in and saying, hey, we're going to supplement you, we're going to give you all this other stuff that you can work in, like additional monsters, adventure hooks, and then magic items that you can find in the planes, right? And then you've got all these player options. I mean, the Planescape box set has some player options, but they're small. Like I think there's like 2 spells, right? So it's just not as many as you would want, right? And again, I don't blame Wizards of the Coast because they can't possibly do it all. And I believe the hope is that they will be able to revisit Planescape, and then it might be the default setting instead of Forgotten Realms for the upcoming revision of the core books next year. So you really need to get familiar with Planescape, because you're probably going to see it referred to in those revised core books. And people love Planescape. But really, you can go anywhere with it. Just like Spelljammer let you travel, Planescape lets you travel all the different planes. And so this book is packed. It's got 5 planar lineages, 13 subclasses, 2 backgrounds, 10 feats, 18 spells, 30 magic items, 12 monsters, 100 planar trinkets, 204 adventure hooks, and an introductory planar adventure for 3rd level characters. So you could just get this. You don't even have to get the Wizards of the Coast, and you have so much stuff that you could do to bring Planescape to life. But I think ideally you would get the Planescape box set and this, and then it would feel like you have that completed, you've closed the loop. You've got all the player options and everything that Wizards of the Coast is bringing out together with another adventure that you can run in the Planescape universe, or setting, I should say. So very, very cool. And I know that Matt has been a long time, huge fan of Planescape. So if you want something that's going to respect what's come before, leverage it in creating something, this is it. So there's so much stuff. You're getting to see some of the cool layout here. It reminds me of past editions with this sort of crackling soil or rock at the top. That's very reminiscent of past editions, which is super cool. So let's look inside a little bit, and then we're going to come back and look at those images to get some more take on it. I love this little Planescape symbol at the top. You get some new mechanics, which we're going to look at. Then there's lineages, and then let's just look at some of these subclass options. So you get one for the Artificer called the Planar Wayfinder. Then there's the Planar Knight for the Fighter. There's the Guide for the Rogue. There's the Elemental Guardian for the Ranger. And Wizard gets Eldritch Magic, which is always cool. Eldritch, fun stuff. You get the Planar Nomad, the Plane Touched, and Feats as well. And those two that I mentioned are backgrounds. You get magical options like spells, magic items. There's a bestiary. And then there's a whole adventure here to bring it all together. And build on what you have in the Planescape book as another option. People are going to want to continue to go through it. So here's some of Matt's history with Planescape, and there's been video games even with Planescape. But there's several new things, new mechanics. So I want to cover a couple of those. So there's the Chaos Roll. This is 2 new abilities interact with advantage and disadvantage in a new way. Each of these new abilities add a 3rd die to a roll that has advantage or disadvantage. The middle result is then used. Like advantage and disadvantage cancel each other out, the Chaos Roll is meant to be an opposite of features like Restore Balance of the Clockwork Soul Sorcerer. If Restore Balance is used along with the Chaos Roll, the 2 abilities cancel each other out. So yeah, you roll 3 die, and if I'm understanding correctly, the middle one in whatever the values are is what you have to use. So that's an interesting take on it, because advantage is the better of the 2, disadvantage is the worst of the 2, right? So what if there were 3 and you had to take the middle one? Then there's typeless damage. Several abilities in the supplement cause damage that does not have a type. This typeless damage is considered more powerful because it is not affected by resistance or immunity unless the phrase all damage is used. For instance, typeless damage is affected by Path of the Totem, Barbarian's Bear Totem Spirit feature resistance, because it resists all damage except psychic damage. If the DM wants to rule that typeless damage is never resisted, that's fine too. Every table's different. So trying something different. We've talked throughout this episode about innovation, right? So love to see that. And that's just a couple. I'll let you read the other ones as well, but there's some other new mechanics here. And I just, again, I can't speak highly enough of innovation in a book. You cannot buy every book. I mean, most people can't. Maybe you can, but most people can't. So you've got to think about, where am I getting something truly fresh? And so when you see a book opening with, hey, we're going to try some new things in here, it's not going to be on every page, but here and there you're going to see some of this new stuff, which is awesome. So here's the introduction to the planar lineages, etc. So that's where the free preview ends. So we're going to go back to this page, and we're going to look at some of these. We're going to zoom in and look at some of these as well. So we mentioned the Planar Wayfinder. So what that is a subclass for the Artificer, and it's a martial subclass that protects allies from the dangers of planar travel. So that could be really fun. You have sort of this person in your party that's responsible to protect you as maybe you're in Sigil and you're going to be going to all these places, so you need somebody maybe that's how they join the party, is you recruit them to be your protector as you go on these very dangerous things. I mean, up is down in some of these places, right? You need to have somebody who understands what you're getting into, because one misstep and you're lost forever, right? So the Planner Heart is a sorcerer. It says harnesses the magic of the planes to devastating impact. And we mentioned the wizard Eldritch magic accesses forbidden magic to enhance spellcasting. That's so cool. Eldritch, kind of connects to like Lovecraftian things and ancient magic, even outside of Lovecraft, right? So you could get that feel of like, I'm tapping into some really like underused, really powerful ancient stuff that not everyday magic users are throwing out there, right? So fun. You got Circle of Arcana, learns magical forms to enhance spellcasting by studying magic for the druid, and Clockwork Domain for the cleric, restores order using a connection to Planner Law. And that's just a few. You can read the rest on your own, but here's that Fighter Planner Knight, and we'll read a little bit about that. You get a Planner Awakenings table. They have a moment that awakens the power of the planes and allows them to harness planar magic. You can choose to roll on the Planner Awakenings table or come up with your own idea. So maybe you were born doing a conflux of planar energy, or you grew up in the Outlands, or you encountered an archfey during your childhood years. Whatever it is, it awakened you. And so your third level ability is you can call on the energy of the planes in order to create effects for your attacks. Once per turn, when you hit with a weapon attack, you can expend a use of planar energy to create a random effect for your target in addition to the normal damage. And then there's another table that you have to reference called Planar Energy Effects that will determine what that random effect is going to be. If it requires a saving throw, your planar energy equals, gives you how to calculate your save DC, and you can use it a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. But then let's go to the capstone. I want you to read the others on your own. Energy Backlash at 18th level. Your planar connection becomes more powerful. You gain the following benefits. When you use planar energy, the target takes 1d6 force damage in addition to any other effects. So that random effect we talked about. When you use planar shield, the attacker takes 2d6 force damage, so that's your 7th level ability. If you roll initiative and have no uses of planar shield remaining, you regain 1 use of it, and you also have resistance to force damage. So with that planar shield ability at 7th level, you can create a shield out of planar energy, and when an attacker hits you with an attack and you can see the attacker, you can use a reaction to create a barrier. So until the start of the next turn, you get a +5 bonus to AC, including against the triggering attack. And you can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain expended uses. So cool. It's this reaction. So your enemy is going to be surprised. All of a sudden, there's a shield. Your AC goes up, and you get proficiency bonus number of uses. So as you increase in level, you're going to be able to call that shield out even more. I think that's fun. I think it feels very planner, like, ooh, we've got this shield, this energy, this planar energy that we're manipulating, because these planes are so powerful. Of course, they're exuding energy. So you get magic items ranging from common all the way to artifacts. So there's the planar humidifier. That sounds fun. You got the box of sounds at common. So even the common one sounds interesting to me. There's so much to love here. There's a video from Game Masters you can watch on it to get some more insights into it. I hope you do that. But as I said, Matt Kimberlin has worked on every single Splinterverse book, including the one that's coming next year. So I really hope you check out this title, because I guarantee you it's going to be balanced and fun and fit perfect with your Planescape collection. So you got to grab it. It's in the video description, links under Planescape Archive. Give it a click. Next, we have another Planescape title called Planescape Metropolis. And look at this fun little cover here. It's like, reminds me of the first Doctor Strange movie with all the buildings sort of, going every which way. And it's from QL Games, who've done so many books, the Draconomicon, Tasha's Crucible of Everything Else, and all that stuff. And it's only $12.99 for 36 pages. And then you can get the hardcover for is that 23 or 28? Yeah, 28.99 or 16.99 for the soft cover, and you can get various combinations of those to get where you get both the digital and the hardcover. And it's 36 pages. And there's a Roll20 version as well, so there's a link here to get that if you want. But it's a short adventure intended as a 4 to 8 hour side quest for 5th to 6th level characters engaged in Turn of the Fortune's Wheel, which is the adventure in the Planescape Adventures in the Multiverse box set. It takes place at the end of Chapter 3, where the party has time to explore Sigil just before they embark into the Outlands. And it's inspired by the film Metropolis, which is cool, and the novel The Jungle. And then it says, many words describe 𝙎𝙪: wealthy, influential, wealthy, famous, and wealthy, and passionate. So very wealthy, apparently. Her deep voice, booming laugh, and dramatic gestures underscore her obvious lust for existence. This dark-skinned Empyrean acts as benefactress to countless small businesses and adventuring parties, asking only a fair share of profits in return. And you've caught her eye, because 𝙎𝙪 has an unusual gift, an accurate sense for detecting someone's sincerity and potential just by looking at them. This ensures she almost always supports only reliably those that will reliably return on investment. But for the first time in her eons-long life, this gift has failed her. It doesn't work on you. Not that it reveals a fate of mediocre ineptitude or an early unprofitable death while adventuring. It simply reveals nothing at all. So of course she's going to be drawn to you and want to figure out why, right? And so this adventure is going to really connect you to Sigil. It's 4 to 8 hours for a party of 5th to 6th level characters. It's got maps. There's a printer-friendly version of the PDF. There's a zip file containing illustrated maps with map-only and illustration-only variants. And then, of course, there's a Roll20 version as well. So if you want to connect directly to a VTT, you have that option. And let's look at the full-size preview here. So, again, fun cover, really cool with that. So here's your introduction to the adventure. We're going to come back and look at some of this probably. But here's Chapter 1, Serving Two Masters. And they're using that font that Planescape used back in the day, which is really cool. And it's got that sort of tear in here with that, again, the rock face that we connect with Planescape. So I love that. Really well done. Whoever did the layout on this book did such a phenomenal job. And here, we'll look at this artwork. Really cool. There's an office and various places that you're going to see on these illustration or maps, whichever way you want to go. They're giving you different art styles for those. But let's scroll back up and read a little bit more earlier in this book so you can get a feel for it. So it says the story focuses on the characters discovering what it's like for the working class of Sigil, intercepting a plot to violently remove dissident employees and acting as the mediators between the leadership and associates of a massive interplanar mega corporation. It takes place primarily in the lower ward of Sigil, the industrial hub of the city named for its many portals to the lower planes. So yeah, you can only imagine if you live in a city that's at the center of the multiverse like this, you're going to have some special circumstances you're going to have to deal with, especially if you work there. You're going to have to put up with a lot, right? And so it's cool to really deep dive into that with this. So in Chapter 1, our heroes catch the eye of a prominent businesswoman with a proposal they just can't or probably shouldn't say no to. After a brief investigation into the whereabouts of her protege, they find themselves at a meatpacking plant. In Chapter 2, our heroes explore the meatpacking plant, rescue janitorial staff from hungry cranium rats and a massive meat monster, and learn where the protege was headed next. So I'm not going to read all the chapter ones, but just so you get an idea of how things kick off here, you get some a bunch of NPCs that you're going to interact with here, including 𝙎𝙪, as we talked about earlier. So it says, now freshly equipped with an eye-shaped lapis lazuli and clear instructions of where to go next to fulfill 𝘽𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙤's errand, the party is about to be waylaid while wandering through Sigil, likely in the clerk's ward or lady's ward. A dark-skinned, imposing titan of a woman approaches them in the crowd. This huge woman introduces herself as 𝙎𝙪, an influential business owner and investor of Sigil. I don't know why I want to say Sigil. I guess because that's what the word normally is. In any case, this 𝙎𝙪 character, I like the thought behind it, that she's able to just detect sincerity, and so she thrives on that, and it's made her a great investor in this area, and that for some reason the party does not trigger that, and so she's interested. So let's see. Here's the butchery. It says, in this chapter, the party rescues some janitors, and the areas in this chapter correspond to the Planner Trade Consortium butchering map. So I think that's down here. So yeah, look at this. I mean, you got these two different levels. There's all this stuff. And I mean, I think you could reuse this map for a lot of stuff too. I mean, in this cool sort of exterior artistry of it. I mean, this is very well done. And I love how it reminds me, the layout just reminds me so much of those old school Planescape books. You know, third-party creators just kill it when it comes to connecting to Wizards stuff, because you can buy the Wizards product and then come here and just expand. You know, we looked at you know, now 2 Planescape books from third-party creators, and they're so cool. So let's look about the cleaning crew knows the following information. The normal cleaning schedule required them to arrive about 4 hours ago. Just after entering and locking doors behind them, a swarm of cranium rats manifested and blocked them from escaping. Only moments later, a second swarm appeared in front of them with obviously malicious intent. So, yeah, that is no good. You're going to have to fight these cranium rats, and they're blocking people in. Don't want that. I mean, you're just trying to work in this meat plant, which is probably not the best anyway, right? Like we talked about it. You're going to have to put up with some stuff. And so, you know, here's an idea of how things go. You got 5 chapters to the adventure. And beautiful artwork that really takes you back to the old school Planescape with a new feel. It's like you know how when people take a classic thing and redesign it for the modern age. That's how this layout looks to me, because this feels very modern. This sort of slashing through the page approach with these little pieces of art. Yeah, this is what I would imagine if we were to make a book. Anybody to make a book in you know, remaking the Planescape. This is what I would imagine it should look like. So cool. I love that. Fun. And I mean, I will say it. I feel like third-party creators are killing it. They're bringing you all sorts of stuff for Planescape here on the Dungeon Masters Guild. So hopefully you can get in there and support these third-party creators and expand your Planescape possibilities by giving them a click. And the first step to do that is go to the video description links and look for Planescape Metropolis and give it a try. Next we have internet issues, it looks like, because we keep having to reload everything that we previously prepared for you, but that's okay. This is Reforged, Magic Weapons Expanded by Eric Rise, where you get over 90 new magic weapons for $4.95. And it's 12 pages, but I think it's actually double that, and I'll show you why I think that in a minute. It expands on the existing magical weapons found in the Dungeon Master's Guide and introduces 3 new versions for each, for a total of 92 new magic weapons. Each magical weapon now has an uncommon, rare, very rare, and legendary version. So you can pick which one works for you, because really, you know, the rarities, they correspond to tiers of play generally. So, you know, if you're in a certain tier, maybe you're looking for very rare. If you're in another tier, maybe you're looking for uncommon. And so by making every magical weapon now have all those variations, then you just have this book and you're good to go. And this is from the creator of that Glyph series that we've talked about a number of times. And they've also done a book, Reforged, on Magic Armor Expanded. So good stuff coming out from Eric Rise. We'll look at the full size, not the quick preview here. So the reason I think it's double the pages, or almost double, is because it says 12 pages, but already you can see the table of contents goes to 20. And what we're looking at is what we call spread format. So it's 2 pages in one. I'm not sure if when you purchase it you get a non-spread version as well, but if you think about most monitors are going to display 2 at the same time anyway. So I think spread is perfectly fine in the digital age for a digital product. But I would personally count these, and they are numbered as separate pages, so the page count is actually higher than that. But you can see all the ones that are getting up, those variations. So you get ammunition 1 through 3, all the way to weapon 1 through 3. But everything from Vorpal Sword, Scimitar of Speed, Javelin of Lightning, Giant Slayer, those are all in here. And yeah, you can just see how it goes right here. Ammunition 1, ammunition 2, 3, all those with different variations. So it goes uncommon all the way to legendary. So ammunition 1 would be uncommon, and then there's a legendary version of ammunition 3. So let's look at ammunition 3 and then ammunition 3 legendary. So ammunition 3, very rare. You have a +3 bonus to attack and damaging rolls made with this piece of magic ammunition. Once it hits the target, ammunition is no longer magical. Then you go to the legendary, you get the same thing, but they have the creature hit with it has a vulnerability to the damage from the attack. So it's just slightly different, but enough to justify going up in rarity, right? Because this is just ammunition, right? It's not like a full-blown weapon, so it's not going to be off the charts crazy. So yeah, let's find another one we can focus on. A lot of people know the Giant Slayer, so let's talk about the Giant Slayer. So you've got the tier 1, which is uncommon, right? It's any axe or sword. It says you gain a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with this magic weapon against giants. When you hit a giant with it, the giant takes an extra 1d6 damage of the weapon's type for the purpose of this weapon. Giant refers to any creature with the giant type, including Ettins and Tolls. So that's the lowest uncommon tier 1, right? Now let's go all the way up to tier 4, legendary, and it says you gain a +2 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with this magic weapon, increased to +3 against giants. When you hit a giant with it, the giant takes an extra 66 damage of the weapon's type and must succeed on a DC 19 strength saving throw or fall prone and become restrained until the end of its next turn. For the purpose of this, it goes through what a giant is again. But you see how it goes from uncommon all the way to legendary. And that's just one. There's so many. There's so many weapons. Mace of Smiting, Mace of Terror, Sunblade, Scimitar of Speed. I mean, these are all familiar from the Dungeon Master's Guide. You got the Vorpal Sword in here. You've got Tridents. I mean, it's all here. Whatever you want to play with. Maybe you're like, I really want to use Giant Slayer, but it's this level. Well, now it's every level. It's all the rarities, except for maybe Artifact. But that would be crazy town to do all of the them as artifacts as well. That would be a lot of work. So now you've got to these options to expand your choices when it's time to reward your players. Who wouldn't appreciate that? And it's $4.95 to make it happen. And I will say that reading a few of these, you can see how they just naturally flow into the upper levels. The author has been very respectful of balance, from what I can tell. So that's awesome. Check it out. It's under Reforged Magic Weapons Expanded in the links below, and give it a click. All right, if the internet will cooperate, we will talk about the next one, which is Scroll of Options. It's a 100-page tome of character options. 2 full classes with 18 subclasses, 24 subclasses for the traditional classes, and then 18 spells. So it is a lot in one book. And the name, it says Scroll of Options, so it just sounds like one thing, but it's really not. It's many things. And it is by GMBF Homebrew, $14.99, 100 pages. And you can see some very playful, well-done artwork here. And it says it's a product more than 2 years in the making, 100-page character tome with 2 full classes, the Necromancer and the Peddler, each with their own subclasses, 9 of them, which I will once again remind you every time we see that, because it's rare. Anything above 3 for subclasses is awesome when you have a new class, because you got to keep in mind, traditional classes have a ton of subclasses at this point, especially when you factor in third-party content. So if you can get up to 6, if you can get up to 9, you're killing it, because it's hard. It's hard to compete with those other classes. Yeah, the class itself is new, but still, you want options options. You want to be able to play around with it and play it multiple times if you like the class. And 9 is going to give you 9 different, you could play it 9 different times and not have the same experience. And of course more than that, but not the same subclass, right? 24 subclasses for each of the player's handbook ones, 18 new spells, 3 lineages, 6 feats, 38 magic items, and variant rules for your game. And, you know, the author is drawing all this artwork at the same time. So that's awesome to see. I mean, this is a talented person to see all of this stuff coming from the same person. I mean, again, I love the playfulness of it. So it says the spellcasting class is what the necromancer is. It has the ability to harvest the souls of others. You can enter a cult. So your subclass is cults of binding, blood, bones, reaping, resurrection, etc. Peddler is a martial class that specializes in seizing opportunity when they see it. Your opportunity attacks are stronger than ever. You can join a merchant's guild. So you're in the Alchemy Guild, Arcane Guild, Black Market Guild. So that's interesting. I like the connections to Guild. And then there's 24 subclasses for the other classes like Path of the Luchador, Way of Manifestation, Mutation Domain, and so much more. And that art is going to be throughout. It's so fun. I mean, this has been 2 years of work. I really hope more people check this book out. It released around the same time as Planescape, so I'm not sure it's gotten very much attention. But I mean, it's been 2 years in the making. It's filled with custom art. It's got a low price point for as many pages as it has. So I really hope word spreads about this one. And you know, we've talked about GMBF Homebrew before, and they always produce really fun, good stuff. They have a YouTube channel and stuff too. But here you can see the names of the lineages are fun. Amalgamation, Beast Seed, and Humanoid Effigy. That sounds so cool to play as one of those. I'm already getting ideas of what those could be. Then you've got all these fun subclasses. Like there's even a Time Lord for the fighter, and a Blackjacker for the rogue, Unlucky for sorcerer, the Chaos for the warlock, and then you've got your new classes and just so much stuff. Spells. I mean, this is definitely going on my wish list because there's just so much fun in here. Path of Balance, College Dropout. That sounds fun. And the artwork just fits so perfectly. I mean, this fits with a College Dropout subclass. So Monk, Way of the Manifestation, Paladin, Oath of Science, Unlucky. I want to read that one, so we'll look at that one in a second. But this is a publisher preview. That's why it looks a little different. Because it goes to a separate page with just the PDF. And you can skip pages, so you can really give bits and bobs throughout the book for people to check out versus a continuous set of pages. So I think that's a really smart option. So Sorcerer, the Sorcerer receives the following new subclasses. Unlucky. Not all origins are good. Sometimes you are dealt a bad hand and need to make the best of it. You are born with the unlucky origin. A sorcerer plagued with terrible luck from birth. Not even the toughest lucky charms can save you from your terrible karma. Fortunately, you are able to utilize this extreme bad luck to get out of tricky situations, and with time, you can even master it, manifest it outwards, and extend it to others an aura of unluck. So, talk about turning lemons into lemonade. You're cursed with bad luck, but then you sort of get used to it, and you're pushing it outward onto others and messing up their world. So that's cool. Like when I read the name, I'm like, oh, how is this gonna work? If you're unlucky, that's not gonna be fun. But it is, because you've harnessed it to become somebody you do not want to mess with. You will find out what happens if you mess with an unlucky sorcerer. So it says, you are a bad luck shaped into someone who can make the best out of a bad situation. Starting at first level, when you have a disadvantage on an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you gain a bonus to the roll equal to your proficiency bonus. Also, whenever you fail a saving throw and after the spell resolves, you gain temporary hit points equal to your sorcerer level. So that's cool. So it's like you're still experiencing the bad luck of the the disadvantage, but you're getting like something else on the side here to just kind of offset that. So I love that, because you could have turned the disadvantage into advantage or neutral, neither of those, but instead it's still there. So you're still unlucky, but you're lucky over here on the side of that. So I like that. Foresight: to compensate for your bad luck, you begin studying the art of divination. You learn one first level spell of your choice from the list, and there's it says which count as a sorcerer spell for you. And so divination, yeah, that would be a cool way to also kind of offset being unlucky, because if you can get ahead of it, right, with divining what's going to happen, then you can make a difference. At 6th level, whenever you expend sorcery points as part of your meta magic feature, your certainty of failure can help you save resources. If a spell attack cast by you misses its target, or all targets of a spell cast by you succeed on the saving throw, you regain any expended sorcery points on that spell. So that's cool. Like, it doesn't reverse your bad luck. You still missed, but a side benefit is, hey, you get those sorcery points back. I love it. This is good design. It's like walking that fine line. You know, I could see somebody else doing this and they would just reverse everything. And it's like, but then you're not really unlucky, right? You're actually lucky or you're neutral, right? So fun stuff. And you see here the necromancer. Let's read about one of the cults here. So many things. I mean, the peddler too sounds interesting. So this cult that comes up. So, cult of reaping. The necromancy cult of reaping embodies the servitude of mankind to the realm of death. Their followers are fierce warriors, proud to defend their undead overlords. A necromancer that abides to their rulings knows how to take the form of a reaper, inspiring awe and horror from those around him. So this would be maybe the reaper here in the artwork. That's cool. So you gain proficiency at 2nd level with weapons and medium armor. You can also use these weapons as a necromancer spellcasting foci. I mean, this is fun. And I know this book wasn't created to go with Planescape, but you know, when you're out there messing around in the multiverse and you're going to all these planes, you're going to see so many different ways of going about being an adventurer. So you can really use a lot of these to spice it up. But I just generally think this book is cool because it has so much to offer. It has so many things: spells, subclasses, classes with 9 subclasses, lineages. We didn't even get to look at all those things. I mean, there's so much on offer here with beautiful, beautiful, fun, inspiring artwork throughout. Every single piece of art I saw seemed to fit perfectly with what the text was on the page, which would make sense because the author and the artist are one and the same. So I hope you see this as more than an option, but a must-have, and get yourself this scroll of options today by clicking that link in the video descriptions. It's under Scroll of Options. Give it a try. All right, now we've come to that part of the program where we give some shout outs to some other titles that we just don't have time to cover in depth this week, but we want to let you know that they're out there and that they're brand new so you can explore them on your own. First up, we have Anansi's Journal of Commonplaces from Never Ending. It's $14 on sale, and this is going to help you describe everyday places that you run into. It's 77 pages, and it is system neutral. We've got The Emporium of Wonders from Empty Black Games. It's $9.95 for the PDF, or you can get a softcover for $14.95, hardcover for $19.95, or both for similar prices. It is 176 pages. It's for 5th edition, and it contains over 400 new magic items. So check that one out. We've got Escape from Miklagard, which is for OSR. It's a setting, it's got factions, it's 75 pages, and it's only $4, already a bestseller seller. Then we've got Far Horizons Guide to Cults, which is system neutral. It's got information on factions and reference to help bring your cults to life. It's $14.99 for 102 pages. Then we've got the Kobold Cookbook, and it is $9.99 for 167 pages. It's got items, and it says it's 5th edition compatible. Then we've also got Order of the Golden Dawn. It's $7.49, and it is an adventure for levels 1 to 3 with 32 pages. Then we've got Piranesi and the Library of Sigil, and it's $4.99 for 31 pages, and this is filled with races, subclasses, and lineages for Planescape. Then we've got another Planescape title, Mind Over Matter, and this one is an adventure for levels 3 to 5. It's 31 pages for $4.99. Then we've got Resurrection Remedies, $9.95 for 52 pages, and it's filled with adventure things to help you bring back a character that's died that you've been unable to resurrect. So there's all different kinds of adventures for 5 different options to resurrect folks. So it's really cool. I enjoyed looking at this one earlier. It is our next title that takes you to a place called Orestes, and it's the Swamp Lights of Orestes. $4.99 for 36 pages, and this is an adventure for levels 5 to 8 with monsters and items, and it's for 5th edition. Then we've got the Wilhelm Reach, a Forgotten Realms Gazetteer, and it is $7.95 for 49 pages, and it contains subclasses, items, feats, monsters, all sorts of Forgotten Realms goodies. Then we've got Westgate Adventures, or Warrens of the Great Goblin Chief revised and expanded, I should say, because as part of their Westgate Adventures line, it's $15, 132 pages. It's for OSR at Adventure level 1 to 3. Then we got Wasteland Wonders, which is $10 for 117 pages. This is a post-apocalyptic supplement. It's got classes and feats for 5th edition. Then we've got Witness Monitor. It's $5.99 for 14 pages. And this one is subtitled The Plane of Unbroken Law. So, with Planescape out there, that could be interesting. It's got items, monsters, and of course a setting. And then we've got the Zephyr, which is a class. It is $10 for the PDF or $15 for that premium color book, softcover, or you can do standard color for $12.50 or various options with the PDF included for the same price, which I find really cool. It's 23 pages, and as I said, it's a brand new class for you. I love this cover as well. Well, that will do it for this episode, so please subscribe and leave a comment. Let us know what titles you're digging this week, or what you're going to be purchasing next, or what intrigued you. We always love to hear from you, and I will respond to all comments personally. Like the video for the algorithm, and share it around with friends so they can get eyeballs on all these great third-party creators, books, etc., so that we can just keep growing the ttrpg space for years to come. And if you could click those links in the video description to support these creators, we'd really appreciate it. And of course, we're going to get a small affiliate fee when you do that. So we love when you bookmark those links and use them to do your shopping with DriveThruRPG or DM's Guild. And if you really want to go the extra mile and support us, be sure to follow us everywhere. We're going to be doing a Kickstarter early next year for a 2-book campaign setting with an adventure. We've also got 7 books already that you can check out at splinterverse.com or in those links in the video description. One of those is our Mithril best-selling Feywild companion. So that's a lot of fun. We've got the Dragonlance companion and a lot of other cool titles for you to check out. So we hope you do that. And until next time, happy adventuring.